Right.
Let me ask you about another member who made a lot of news at the end of the session and whose name not only does not appear on the best or worst lists, but is, from what I can tell, I have seen an advanced copy of the story, whose name is not uttered anywhere in the piece, and that is Wendy Davis. I'm going to read you something, Paul, that you wrote back in 1997.
I object.
Overruled. Quote, this is from the best and worst story in 1997. Quote,
Statute of limitations?
her act had no point except to make others share her misery. She broke the social compact that is the basis of all government, the agreement to give up the right to use brute force in exchange for the benefits of civility and order. You wrote those words about Arlene Wolgemuth in 1997 after the Memorial Day massacre, in which she killed a whole bunch of bills at the end with a procedural move. You not only put Arlene on the worst list, you called her the worst of the worst. Wendy Davis's name appears nowhere in this piece, not on the worst list, not as an honorable or dishonorable mention, nothing. Why was Wendy Davis ignored by this story?
Wendy Davis was ignored by, Nate's in the Senate, so I should defer to him here.
Well, then do.
But,
you can defer to me.
But
He did put on a tie. So,
okay.
She's not on the list because at the time we went to press, which was last week, it was too soon to tell and may still be too soon to tell what the ultimate outcome or the ultimate effect, whether it will benefit her goals or be detrimental to her goals of her decision to filibuster was. And I have to say, there was a lot of talk at the time about what is the end game, what is the goal, what is the point of the filibuster. And if you remember, what she said was, among other things, we may need more time to move the ball in our direction. And I think what she was alluding to was the members, especially Republicans in the House, need to hear from people in their districts, people who work at schools, parents who have kids in schools, about what the cuts are going to do to their schools.
right.
And I have to say, when the Donna Howard amendment went on, which was the same day we went to press, with, 30 Republican votes in the House to put that amendment on, which potentially would spend $2.2 billion more in public education, she was looking pretty smart. Now, I don't know if that amendment is going to stay on or not.
Well, and the reality is some people in this room and some people outside this room may think that Davis should have been on the best list. And some people may think she should have been on the worst list. Some people may think she should have been Bull the Brazos, right? But the question is, Wendy Davis and what happened with Wendy Davis, that was one of the most consequential things that happened this session. When people look back on this session, they're going to remember that.
Well, you're saying that, but
I am saying that.
I'm not sure it's true. I'm not sure. That's Nate's whole point, and our whole point is, if we were certain that it was consequential one way or the other,
right,
she would have been on a list.
But let
me be certain.
You're still trying to edit the story, Evan, is what's happening.
I am. It's like the amputee scratches at the limb. That's exactly right. But here's the you like that one? But here's the point though. Here is the point though. Why Wolgemuth, but not Davis? I mean, what Davis did effectively was use procedural tools at the end to sort of stop the session in its tracks. So I want to ask again one more time, and then we'll move on. Why is Davis not Wolgemuth 2011?
Well, they're not analogous even in the slightest. I mean, what Wolgemuth did was, the effect of it was immediately obvious, and it was a destructive act, whereas Senator Davis's act, we still don't know the consequences of it, and it didn't kill anything. It gave, in a sense, new life to a number of bills.
Right, including, as a number of people will tell you, sanctuary cities. There are a number of people, fairly or unfairly, I happen to think unfairly, but fairly or unfairly, will tell you that it ought to be named the Wendy Davis Sanctuary Cities Bill.
I guess they didn't see the press release from the governor that we were going to have a TWIA special session.
And you believe that during that TWIA special session, and I happen to agree with you, there was going to be a special session anyway.
Yeah.
But you believe that during that special session, he would have added sanctuary cities to the call.
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, of course he would. In Arlene's case, I was standing at the back of the chamber as Arlene made her motion, and she was talking to people in the back and trying to decide whether to do it. And then she did it, and what Arlene did was she killed the whole calendar. Her point of order killed the entire calendar. And about a nanosecond after she had killed the calendar, and the House chamber was as quiet and stunned as I've ever heard it, David Sibley walks through the back door and he looks at me and he says, "Where's Lizzie Borden?"
So you just think, from a magnitude standpoint, they're not analogous situations?
Yeah, she killed, and you know, most of the bills, the vast majority of the bills that Arlene killed
Right.
were Republican-sponsored bills. And then they had to go through the next few days and try to get those bills, find a vehicle, tack it on, and get the bills passed.